And we are live. Hello, everybody.
You're always so loud.
Yes, I am loud because I need them to hear me. You know how far away these people are from us?
Um,
Put everything on top, chat. Can you get into this?
I just said live chat. What do you mean? Right there. What?
The greeting. Come on, we're in the
Hi.
live.
I am working on it. I'm working. I'm waiting for it to start so I can put it on live chat again. See, jeez. It's like you don't have it scheduled already. Patrick was here first.
Yes, Patrick, but not here right now.
Steven Andrews was next.
Yes, but not here right now.
Marcel,
He is here. Hello, Mark.
also believe in yourself.
Hello, Believe.
Mike N.
Hello, Mike N.
And Buffett Campo.
And Buff Del Campo. Thanks for coming, guys. You see a beautiful Dodge Ram Charger on the screen. It is a 2000 model, 4-speed manual with 112,000 kilometers on it. It's a beautiful, beautiful truck. Hopefully I'll get somebody on it. Unfortunately, the truck is in Michoacan, which is in the middle of all of the bad things happening right now. So I've been getting messages from people in Guadalajara, Zapopan, that whole area. And 2 days after the bad stuff happened, it was all back to normal. But the surrounding areas, the highways, and especially in Guanajuato and Michoacan, where there's heavy cartel activity, it's not quite back to normal. But look how beautiful this truck is. All of the emblems are in place. The stock steel wheels, everything is nice. But being a manual, why is the wiper up? Is that the wiper up?
Yep.
It's supposed to be way down. It's supposed to be a lot smaller than it is. That's way too big. It was rechanged. But unfortunately, being a manual and being a base model, it has no power windows. It does have air conditioning. It has the gray cloth seats, but it doesn't have all the it doesn't have any power seats. So I can imagine sitting down in the hole and looking up at a steering wheel. That's going to be hard. Maybe sit on a pillow or something. But I think there's 3 manuals for sale right now. The red one sold, but there's 2 blacks and a silver for sale right now. All of them have no power windows, roll up windows, as you can see right there, which are fine for me as long as they work. Does the important window work? Yes, roll it down. Very, very pretty truck, especially in that black. And they're not expensive. They're not expensive trucks compared to some of the other ones that people are asking a ton of money for. But there's the 4-speed manual. The standard looks like a cassette player in the dash. Maybe they did an upscale stereo. But I don't even see cup holders there. Do you see that big hole in the dash? I didn't even see cup holders there.
Josh Roman is here.
Hello, Josh. Thanks for joining us. Look at the seatbelt in the seat. It's not even coming apart. Just such a nice truck.
Chris is also here.
Hello, Chris. How are things up your way? That didn't mean to sound dirty.
Excuse me.
I've asked this guy on this van when it was produced, what's the date on the original factura, so I know if I can publish it or not, but he's not getting back to me on that because it is a 2001 model. And it was originally white. They painted it this brown, but it looks like they did a good job because when you open the doors, you can't really see any white in there, which is good.
Policarofan is also here.
Hello, buddy. Welcome. Got wheels on it at least. And the higher roof, which helps being able to stand up in it. But finding one of these in decent condition with seats inside at a reasonable price is not easy. People ask a lot of money for these here. I'm not sure if they actually sell for that kind of money, like 285,000 pesos. But there's a lot of us looking at these cheaper ones. There's a lot of competition.
Mark Zoe saying hi again.
Hello, Mark. He's saying hi to you. Look what they did with the interior in this thing, front
Yeah.
and back.
Saying hi to you and me.
Yes. And then you got people facing backwards. I'm not sure how that would work on their stomachs, but you got a bench seat in the back and bucket seats. So somebody did some work on the inside of this thing. But since it is the liquid cooled engine, it has plenty of power to pull all these people and maybe put some air conditioning in the back. Run some vents along the bottom of the wall and blow some cold air back there. That would be nice.
Living yourself came back?
Hello, Believe. I was just talking to my friend in Florida. He may pop in here, and these may be the options. These may be the vehicles that I might send him to make money on. If they're already in Mexico City, it's not that far to the port, and then he can pick them up there. I'm also going to talk to Adrian about working with us. Maybe we can he can have the shipping company bring him the Mexican vehicles, and he can get the title on it. And because he's a Tennessee dealer, deliver the vehicles, title and vehicle to the buyer for a price. I know I was talking to Buff about that, but I'm thinking that the state of Tennessee may have an issue if you do 5 or 6 in a year, and then that would create a legal problem for you. So I'm not sure if that's how we want to go. Hey Tanner, thanks for popping in. When you said you have company, is that of the female persuasion or friends? Yeah, that's somewhere around there, Mark. But there's ones even more expensive. You know, the caravels with all the seating inside and all the everything like that. So yeah, Chris, I'm gonna change my name. Carmex. I'm gonna open up a second channel under that name. Maybe I'll open up a second channel and put all of the ones. I was thinking about doing a video showing all of the ones that I've sold, and you know, because there's people that still don't believe that I've sold cars. They still think it's a scam.
Unfinished project this year?
Hey, unfinished project.
And they ask, is that a V8 rear wheel drive?
On what? On which one? This is a 2001 Peugeot.
Tanner says it's just a couple cousins coming over. The potential date is busy today.
Oh, cousins are not company. Cousins are family. I know this Peugeot is not in the real good condition, but I haven't seen one before, so I thought you guys would want to see it. A Peugeot station wagon. They found a door, so there must have been at least 2 of them in the country. I've got a paint shop that can paint this really nice. That can make this look really nice.
Finish says Peugeot.
Yep, Peugeot. Peugeot. That's what it's called, Peugeot. But I'm surprised the thing has made it 25 years. Somebody must have spent money to keep the electrical system from burning up in the car. But I fancy the wagons because they all have to have special tail lights, different from the sedans. So they had to create something that looked like it came from the sedan, but it fit on the wagon. I mean, this is not a high dollar car by any means. And this one's for you, Chris. Like $5,000 this car was. Or less.
Tanner says, I'm not very in touch with my extended family, so they're considered company to me.
Okay. Just don't think of them as cousins.
I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not talking too much, but I'm stuffing my face.
She's eating her carrot bread cake thing. This one doesn't look like it's white, Chris. It looks like it's a little bit darker, like a dark eggshell.
But it says it looks just like mine.
Close.
Thunderbird's also here.
Hey, Thunderbird, welcome.
Also, stray bullet.
Hey, we're on live chat. We can see Stray Bullet. Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah, they sold the Fiat 500s here too, Chris, and they do not go for a lot of money.
There's a rag over there, the blue one.
Rag's not gonna do it. Hold on, guys. I just spilled some water. So now there's one little part of the floor that's clean.
Not bad.
That's all right. It'll dry in a day or two. That's okay. You guys know what a Yaris GR is?
Chris says Fiat white isn't bright white, it's an off white.
Yeah, that's what it was. Kind of looked eggshell kind of
Someone
thing.
says those headrests are crazy.
This is a car they did not sell in the U.S. A Yaris GR, not Corolla. It's a Yaris, the smaller of the two. And this was not sold in the U.S. for whatever reason. Maybe couldn't pass the crash tests, or maybe couldn't pass the emissions tests. You have them up there, believe? You have them up there in Canada? I mean, there's a big number on this car. They want a lot of money for it, even though it's a used car. But I don't think it was, Chris. Look it up. It's like a 24, 25 model, something like that.
Mm.
It's only on there permanently, Tanner, if you do go there. Stephen Andrews, hi Spec. Pop in for a minute. My nephew is coming with a 70 Firebird. He got free. Be back. Is he driving it? Is he driving it or is he trailering it? That's an important
Distinction.
Distinction, yeah. Now this is a very, very pretty 64 Galaxy XL. Bucket seats, floor shift, the whole 9 yards. The best you could get in that year.
Joshua says, I remember the Yaris, but I don't remember all the varieties it came in.
It was the base model economy car, Josh. And then they did the GR treatment to it on the newer models, and that's what you got. But I don't think it was sold in the U.S. Trailer. Well, of course, he's not going to drive a free car. Don't. Not going to drive a free car. People don't give away free cars for free anymore that run.
Triple says, how do you get a free Firebird?
There's plenty of ways. You want to talk legally or not legally? When I walked into the auto shop in high school, the first day, there's one of these 64 Galaxy XLs, top of the line car sitting there that was donated. It was black interior, floor shift automatic. It was basically this car in black, and it was still in good condition. But
was that picture taken with a potato?
Yes, but that's where the car ended up, and it never moved again because they're not allowed to do anything with it afterwards. They can't sell it. They can't do anything with it because it was donated to the high school. I don't know what happened after they closed the auto shop in the high school though.
Vintage says, I drive many free cars, so I had to make them run first. One did drive off the trailer though.
Some people, get this out of my yard. I don't want to see it anymore. Then people like that don't tell you what's really wrong, let you figure it out for yourself, which is fine if you can do mechanic work, head gasket or whatever. People get rid of cars for the silliest of reasons. But on the other hand, mechanics charge so much per hour that they don't have the money to fix it. So People were silly back in the what was it, the 80s, that got rid of a Japanese car because the engine wasn't working. Like in where I lived, the port of Los Angeles was not that far, so there was warehouses all over Los Angeles that had the Japanese pull-out engines. You could go there. You had a Ford Festiva, you had a Toyota Corolla, or whatever. You go there for like $300. You buy the replacement engine. You know it has very few miles on it. Take it out, put it right back in. Hey, Chris said I'm right. Look right there. Hey, Slimo. I gave my old man a Suzuki Swift. Trucks would almost blow you off the road as they went. Oh, yeah. I know them very well. I worked at Chevy when we sold the Chevy Sprint.
Chris says, you're right, JR is not sold in the US. The US yours appears to have been a rebatch Mazda 2. Rest of the world got a real Yaris. Weird.
So which one is better?
Tanner says, my Impala was parked by my great grandma because she got a new car. It didn't take much to get it back on the road.
Yeah, and because it wasn't worth anything, there was no reason to sell it. There's WD Detailing is detailing a 1963 Mercury Colony Park station wagon in a beautiful teal color with teal interior. And when I was a teenager, I bought a '63 Monterey Breezeway four-door sedan. A little bit after that, a '63 Monterey Breezeway two-door hardtop. A couple of years after that, I bought a '63 Mercury S55 two-door hardtop, the performance model, and I had all three of them at the same time because I never sold cars. They weren't worth anything, so there was no reason to put them up for sale. Nobody would give you anything for it. I'd rather keep the car.
Believe says, I know what the Yaris is due to me frequenting a certain Japan exporter site and watching many car channels in Japan.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they had them over there too. Why they brought them here, I don't know. Why they're bringing performance cars to Mexico when we don't have gasoline that can power them, I don't know. I really don't. I've shown this one before. This would be great with a 350 under the hood. It's basically the same type of body as the Brazilian Opala. And at least one guy I saw on YouTube, he's a famous whatever mechanic or whatever. He went to Brazil, bought the car, had it shipped back up to the U.S., and he was like 22,000 into that car. Landed in the U.S. after everything, and it still needed little things here and there, and it's an inline six. Supposedly, this is an inline six as well, so it's comparable to that car, just has different taillights and stuff. But the owner of the car was out working somewhere away from home, and he didn't have access to the pictures of the engine because I would love to see the engine in there.
Believe says, I remember in 1978 my father leased a New Yorker Brougham maroon with maroon rich Corinthian leather. Smelled so good. Those seats had much bounce to the ounce.
Yes, it's a very comfortable ride in that car. Why do you keep looking at me? Are you looking at the hairs on my chin?
No.
Tanner says, I'm doing some body work while making the final coats of paint. The paint runs. I just don't care at this point. It'll get stripped later for a full repaint anyway. What are you painting, Tanner? The dart? Because you can sand the runs. You can sand them off after they dry.
Stribble says, well, would you get parts for that?
Here in Mexico, they'd be expensive because I'd have to ship them DHL or whatever. But I'm sure the engine isn't that much different from.
I know.
They're doing something next door on our wall. I don't know. They've been doing stuff over there lately. I'm sure the engine's not that much different than a US. It says right there on the trunk 3800. So it's a 3.8 liter inline six, which most of these were the record four cylinders. So that's why I published it because it was a very rare model within the Opals that are in.
Patrick is here.
Hello, Patrick.
How is it?
Patrick Sullivan. He was here to be first,
Mm-hmm.
and then he went away.
I believe it says earlier I changed the tires valves. It was quick work. I'm thinking if I should leave you alone with the chat while I take a nap.
How are you going to take a nap with me talking?
I can take a nap. You think
It's
I
your
cannot?
thing. You stay awake, and you go to your wedding. You go to the wedding, and you stay awake for that too.
What do you mean it's my thing?
Yeah, it's your wedding.
Yeah, but
Your friends.
these are your friends.
Tanner, I filled in the holes for the rear marker lights on the Scamp. I was mostly practicing my metalwork skills. No filler, and you can't tell they were was ever a hole there. You filled it with. Would you cut them out and welded a new piece of metal?
Chris says that's a nice looking bug. Love the color.
I have a client on it, but we're trying to get the thing shipped up to Seattle, Washington, and the shipping guy has to tell me if it's possible for him to come into Mexico in Nogales, from Nogales, Arizona, cross it, put it on his truck, and ship it, and how much that's all going to cost for the client. Excuse, please, because I have to bring that thing up from Mexico City or Estado de Mexico or wherever the thing is down there. It's a 71 model too. I think it was 74 was the first year they put the turn signals in the bumpers. I prefer the turn signals up on the top so I can see them flashing, so I know they're working. Good tires too, which is it's a rare find. But I would not drive one home. I would not drive one 1,500 kilometers. Come home. The offset looks a little weird in the back though. Tanner says I used leftover metal from when I cut out the inner fender. I made a patch, welded it, and used multiple coats of primer instead of filler. Yeah, that should look nice. Even the Mexican cars had side marker lights on those though. Other ones not so much, like the Ford trucks in the 70s, no rear side marker lights. Datsun 510s, the Datsuns, they didn't have side marker lights. They may have had a reflector in the front, but no side marker lights. It wasn't a requirement here. Believe says make Herbie great again. Herbie was always great. The original, not the later one. Why are you staring at me?
I want to go to sleep.
Well, then go to sleep. I'm gonna make sure you can't go to sleep though.
No.
You guys don't mind if I yell all my comments, right?
I'm gonna go in the other room.
Sure you are. Vintage. I'm hopping off. My cousins are almost here. Okay, Tanner. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. Hey, Chris, you notice those taillights on this green bug? Sorry, beetle. Those were stock. The smaller ones were stock on that car, the 71 model. They didn't go to the bigger ones until 72, then 73, and then 74. They came out with the big ones. Hopefully it won't get out of hand, so I'll be able to read it up there. Are you going to charge this before you go?
Just rest. And I'm also taking the battery just in case.
You're not going to need your phone at the wedding.
But I have like 3 hours of sleep on me, so.
Why'd you sleep so little?
I fell asleep at 7.
Vilefly, welcome.
7 to do everything else.
Vilefly, I don't have my zapper here right now, so you're safe. Chris says, I was about to say that the taillights and the Ford louver deck didn't look right. It's right for Mexico, but that's what came on the car. This one's a 73 model, I think.
Don't tell me if I start snoring.
If you start snoring, I'm going to put the microphone under your nose. so there could be witnesses.
No.
Yes.
I'll do the same to you.
I still won't believe you. You can't tell me I snore. You can't tell me I snore. I won't believe it. Because I've never heard it.
You can't tell me I ever punch you.
Well, all you need is my word for that one. That's all you need for that. Chris, you know they mixed and matched parts here, so. Chris says he does have a can of Raid at the ready, though. Chris, it's not raid. It's called Bygone. Baygon. And it's basically empty. Mrs. Spec has it right here by her desk. Firefly. A nap sounds good right now. I just saw the news. Ick. What's on the news? All right, something's happening, and they did something in Iran already. I haven't seen it. They were calling it a war here because some things got burned. That wasn't a war. That was a tantrum, and it's pretty much over now. Which is what I thought it would happen. What I told you guys would happen. In a couple of days, it'll be back to normal. The highways, Mrs. Speck said, aren't quite back to normal, so there's still a risk out there. But inside the city, where they burnt, like in Guadalajara, where they burned all the cars on the streets and buildings and stuff like that, all that's gone. And everything's back to normal there. I've talked to 4 or 5 people there. Say the same thing. Wildfly says Iran's leader got toasted by a U.S.-Israeli strike. Oh. How do we know he was the leader? I don't even know who was the leader there. Was it the Ayatollah, or I don't know what their thing is there. Some people attacked Iran. Stray Bullet says. Some people. Well, we'll see what happens after that. The Supreme Court did the thing on the tariffs, saying that he shouldn't have done that. So now we're waiting to see what's going to happen with us here. Does my current client pay the tariff when he picks up the truck? Does he not? I actually have to ask him, because the customs agent sent him an invoice to pay, and he said he's going to pay it, but I don't know if the tariff was on there. This looks like a McDonald's van. Yellow and red. That looks like the seating at McDonald's. All you need is the McDonald's food. But this is a 72, I think, which is why they want a lot of money for it, because it's the older version. Ayatollah, yep. Stray Bullet, 15 tariff now. Nobody has said anything. Nobody has said what it is officially. We don't know. Firefly, Trump has a bypass in motion already. Well, we'll see. If my customs agent tells me what's going on, then that's from his official knowledge. Chris, I thought I heard there's now a 10% across the board tariff, but this nonsense seems to change hourly. Yep. So we're in limbo here. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, it's not going to be 25%, which is, a fourth of the purchase price of the car. So that's good. Vilefly, Constitution is bypassed like a Christmas tree lately. A lot of stuff is going on all at one time, Vilefly. Oh, this looks like our Ford. 15 sounds fair. Stray Bullet. No, it shouldn't be anything on the cars that I sell, because we have the agreement between Canada, the US, and Mexico to not charge tariffs on the vehicles made in all three countries. But on these older ones, I have to prove that it was made in Mexico with all Mexican parts, or parts made in the US, and I have no way to do that, even though common sense tells you it was, because the country was closed at the time. But they won't accept that. They won't accept you saying, hey, common sense tells you it did. So people have been paying the tariff, like Lester LeSabre did. He was the first one that paid it, 25%. But it's not on everything that they pay me. So it's just on the price of the vehicle. Firefly. Oh, didn't know the Galaxy 500 had the horseshoe style shifter. Yeah, in Mexico they did, Firefly, even up into the 70s, up into the 73 to 77, 78 models. Some of those had that shifter in it, which they did not in the US. I've seen that shifter in convertibles and stuff like that in the US in the 71, 72. That's what I just said, Chris. There should be zero tariffs between Canada, US, and Mexico. because we're right here, and that's what the agreement was for all this time. If the vehicles were purchased, now you cannot take a European vehicle that has a letter starting with the VIN and bring it into Mexico. Mexico doesn't allow it. To be able to bring a vehicle in, it has to be 8 years old or older, and it has to have a number, which means it was made in Canada, the United States, or Mexico, in order to bring a car in here and get it legalized. They don't do anything. Mexico is still sticking to that agreement. Firefly. I want to modify a gate shifter to add ratchet action to it. My favorite shifter. Oh, you want a Ford shifter to be a Pontiac shifter? This Datsun 510, you're not gonna find a cleaner sedan than this one. Clean, clean, clean car. Stop it. Are you asleep yet? When I publish a Volkswagen, either a Beetle, a Combi, or the Safari, like if I put it on Instagram, I get maybe 10 likes on it. That's it. People aren't really interested in Volkswagens. I get very few views on YouTube, but I post them on the Samba website, and I do get a lot of action from there. I sold the Ormiga because he got my information from there. So after the sale was completed, I went to the website and I upgraded to whatever. So I gave him $25 or whatever. And if anybody buys a Volkswagen from me from that site, I go over there and I give them a bonus or whatever it is, pay whatever. I donate money to them because it's just the right thing to do. Stray bullet. That looked like an overhead valve engine. In the Datsun, yes, it was the J series. The owner said it had a 1500 cc engine in it, even though the car is called 1600, and I think they were using the 1800 in there, but it is the overhead valve engine because at the time there was no highway driving in the early 70s here. The only reason they put the overhead cam engines in the US vehicles is because people were all over the highways and freeways in the big cities, and the cars had to keep up with other ones. So that's why the difference in engine. But it's really hard to tell the quality of the paint. I mean, right in this picture here, if you look close, you can see brush lines between the two things there. So what kind of quality is the paint? And it does have the old style bus tail lights on it, which I think look better, but they're not as big and they don't call your attention. I got to answer the guy's question on this. He asked me how much this was. He says that floor there doesn't look good, but I'm assuming that in some safaris they had panels to put there to cover all that. I don't know. And the glove box is gone, so that needs to be replaced. Or just leave it like that and just put stuff in there. Stray bullet. That will buff right out. Well, if you color sand it first, it probably will. The whole thing would need to be color sanded, which my body shop can handle. I'm pretty sure. Color sand it and buff it out. I took a picture of a Volkswagen Combi, a newer one, the liquid cooled that they have in there. They're preparing it for paint. So I want to see what it looks like when it's done. They don't take a lot of time doing anything. I saw it from the left side, and they put putty and stuff all over the left side to smooth out. It's really hard to paint a van because the flat straight panels, you can see everything on there. Biofly. Someone will want to put a huge touchscreen in that hole. No thanks. I don't think the electrical system in this thing can handle the touchscreen unless they completely change that. Put a huge alternator on it and and regulators and all kinds of stuff and relays. And why would you put a touchscreen in a car that you can't lock up with the canvas windows? So not a good thing. No, I promise it's not all Volkswagens. I just put some. I just took the pictures from what I had before, and then there was like 300 and something pictures of what I had before. Then I saved another 300 pictures. So yeah, there's some interesting ones in here. I would have thought that the Mexican Beetle, more people would be interested in them, but you have the people that think that a Beetle, they'll only buy a Beetle if it's really really cheap, and that's not the situation here. So Firefly, got to get that 5-volt alternator for all of today's electronics. Yeah, or put a generator in the back seat. The the electrical system in these Volkswagens, and it's the same electrical system in all of them. It has never been the strongest. Chris says all VWs all the time works for me. You can pretty much tell the year of the car by the steering wheel, but you have to know when they did the change and to what, and then it went to the next one, the next one, the next one. What I've noticed is the wheels on the front engine Beetle. There was a certain wheel that came on that car that looked really good on the combis and on these Beetles. But you're putting a front wheel drive wheel on a rear wheel drive vehicle, so I don't know. Like I said, I was just talking to a friend of mine in Florida to see, hey, what vehicles that are here will make you money over there? Which ones? Because he's right there in Florida. I can ship it to him, and he can pick it up at the port right there, and it won't have to go very far. I'm just not sure what works in Florida because they need air conditioning, and most of the cars here don't have it. So that's going to be difficult. Of course, who knows if we can add it. I have an air conditioning shop here, but since he's way down in, I would just buy the cars in Mexico City and drive them 400 kilometers and leave them there. Hello, Lester. Thanks for joining us. This car I would definitely do black and white and Adam 12 it and drive it like that if it was over there. Vilefly, I don't think I could live in Florida. Too hot, too crazy. Well, there's a lot of different areas in Florida. The big cities, you have a lot of crazy people. But yeah, it's a pretty humid environment there. You have water on both sides of you, both sides of the state, and it really gets to you. If you're into water sports, not those kind, but the other kind, that's the perfect place to go. When I visited my buddy out there in '89, his mother owns a duplex, and he was staying in the top floor. There was a family in the bottom floor, and we were on a little street. And at one end of the street was the Gulf of Mexico. The other end of the street was Sarasota Bay. So you could go swimming in the Gulf, or you could go fishing in the bay, and you're right there. I mean, you could walk to both of them. So, hey, Granddad's Junk, thanks for joining us. I like the bumper, Stray Bullet. Where are you going to sit when you're waiting for the tow truck? Come on. You can't sit on new car bumpers. They're all plastic and they crumble. The perfect thing to have big bumpers on a car. See? You can lay out your lunch right there. Have your lunch while you're waiting for the tow truck to show up. Or waiting for your mechanic to show up with a tow chain. And this one I just posted a day or two ago. The rear bumper needs to be redone because it's not chrome. It was like broken and then they welded it and it's painted silver. But this car is in Veracruz, so it wouldn't take much to drive it. It's in the city of Veracruz, which is where the port is. So it would just be a matter of driving it to the customs agent office, doing the paperwork on it, and leaving it with them. And then it gets shipped to Florida. But it is a very pretty car. Slant 6 automatic. And here's the weirdest part of this car. You guys tell me if you've ever seen it before. Buff, have you ever seen this before? This has a reverse light on the dash as if it was in a manual, but it is an automatic. You'll see it here in a second in the pictures. I've never seen one before, and it works. The light is hooked up to the reverse lights to tell you it's in reverse, even though it's an automatic, and it was originally an automatic. So, did they make a mistake at the factory here in Mexico by putting that reverse light in when it should be only in a floor-shifted manual? Or did somebody add it later and really hook it up correctly to the reverse lights? Dre, it's like they didn't even try to form them to the body. Nah, why would they? They're not supposed to form them to the body. They're supposed to have a cushion, a shock, so if you get hit, it goes in and comes back out. It's supposed to be far away from the body. Lester, Ford had great park bench 5-mile-per-hour bumpers. Yeah, they all did. They're perfect to sit on. I want bumpers like that on all cars. Instead of tapping the back of a car and it costs $5,000 to replace it. Firefly, I missed the turn signal indicators on the fenders. Oh yeah, so do I. I have them on my Dart out here, and that's it. All cars should have that. Not in the mirror. I want to see it flashing on the top of the fender. The interior is decent in this, but you could make it better. But the outside is really nice. Original wheels, original hubcaps. It's a 76 model, which very few of them are, which you'll notice it has the 76 Valiant front end with the Dodge Dart Sport rear end. They only did that 2 times in Mexico, in 1973 and 1976. And in 76, you get this panel between the taillights that says Valiant on it. Now look at the next picture. It's on the dash. He shows the reverse light because he knew it was weird too. That's right there. The reverse light should be on a floor-shifted manual. There's no reason for an automatic car to have this. No reason at all. That was to tell you you're in reverse because the forward gear and the reverse gear were so close to each other. So it might have been a mistake in the factory. Granddad's junk. Still got to the concrete top end and have to get a load of AP70 to go around the pipe. Must be a different conversation. Buddy, looks like Maverick hubcaps. No, those what came on the car new when it was in here in Mexico. Those are definitely Mopar hubcaps. Stray Bullet. Cadillac used to have those fender signal light indicators. Yeah, but those were a different thing. Those were using the light from the actual light that it was fiber optic, not a bulb like this one has. This is a bright orange bulb on the fender that tells you you're turning. Firefly, oh, I've seen those before. Interesting. But not in an automatic car, Firefly. That's the thing. They've never put them in an automatic car. So where was the mistake made, or did somebody install it later? Now, this Omega just came up for sale. And here's the caveat on it. It's the same guy that sold me the green one. And this means I do not want to buy this truck. I know the work he does on restoration, and it is crap. Stray Bullet. Maybe they no, Stray Bullet, the original invoice of the car says it was an automatic. From day one, it was an automatic car. I asked that. And it has automatic, pedals and everything else. It's an automatic car. Buff Del Campo. Never seen that. It looks like a Ford parking brake warning light from the 60s. Have you seen it? Have you seen those in the manual cars? The 69 Dart I sold had that. All of the floor shifted manual Mopars had that because the reverse is so close to the forward gear. So that is to tell you that yes, you are in reverse and you can back up. So yeah, it's just so weird that it's in an automatic car. It would be unique. Fiber optic. That sounds fancy. Stray bullet. Yes, it was. It was a Cadillac after all. Lester, turn signal lights on fenders are great. Absolutely. I had my Dart out, and my son's mother and my son was with me. It was at nighttime. I put the turn signal on, and the light started flashing on the top of the fender. It says, "Wow, that's great. The light's flashing." I said, "Yeah, every car should have this. Not on the mirror to tell other people. I want to know. Like the 60s Cadillacs that had them out on the fenders, but nothing on the dashboard. It was like the dashboards were minimalist in Cadillacs. When you paid the most money for the car, you had the turn signal out on the front fender, starting in 1960, and that was the only turn signal you had. There was nothing on the dash in those cars until 1969. Stray Bullet is doing something with the yellow thing. Yeah, the because of the green one that I bought from this guy, I'm not even considering this this Omega for my customer. Never. And he goes way too far with the blue paint. You don't need to paint brake drums. You don't need to paint chassis. You don't need to paint any of that stuff. So no, the work on the green one was so bad that no, we're not. I didn't even tell my customer about this one. No thanks. But I saw the pictures and I sent a message to him. I said, "Are you selling a blue one?" He says, "Yeah, I just posted it." So, but I think he has a client on it. It was more expensive than the green one. This little truck is pretty weird. Yeah, Vilefly. It's called an Omega. I already sold one, and the client wants another one, but he's not going to be ready for 2 months because he's working in Florida. He lives in Arizona. He's not going to be back in Arizona to be able to send me money until then. So I just have to wait until he's ready. But I told him, hey, Mexico's on fire, but the trip to Chihuahua and the train ride back doesn't have anything to do with any of that. So if you want to do it, no, I'm working right now. I can't get back to Arizona for a couple of months. I said okay. So when he's ready, he says he wants two more. He wants two more Omegas, which is good because last time I talked to him, he only wanted one more. So I like return customers. They know the whole process. I don't have to explain anything to them, and they know how to send the money and everything else. So right, Lester, you remember how to send the money? Lester says, now that would be a useful FMVSS requirement. Buff Del Campo, I need to go. Sorry. No problem, Buff. We'll see you soon. I'm not going to be on your live tonight because we're going to a wedding, and I don't know what time we're going to get out of there. I figure if the music is really loud, I might be back early. So we'll see what happens. Blue Grit Garage, welcome. The 69 Mustang had turn signals on the hood scoop, and 71 Scamp had them on the top of the fenders. Yes, they did. That was an option, a lighting package. That was a lighting package that you could buy. The 67 Mustang also had it. 66, no, none of the 66 Mustangs did, I don't think. Yeah, they did. Didn't they have it on the fenders, on the scoop, on the hood? You could get that with the orange lights on the back of the scoop. Lester got it right the first time, yeah. And the time after that, and the time after that, and the time after that. I just wired money. I'm going to call it wiring money from my bank here to the transport company to ship off the Ram Charger to Florida, and the bank only charged me $8 service fee to send the money. That's much cheaper than any of you guys paying $35 to do it, as a wire fee over there in the U.S. First, my banker told me, "Oh no, there's no charge for this," but it showed up as $8 to send the money. So give them their little bit. What's better than a completely black Chevy Malibu. Drive this on the road and put some red lights in the grill. It looks like you're recreating the, what was it, the sheriff's department in California had these Malibus. They didn't go very fast, but Uno, choo choo choo, chocolate froyo. Yeah, didn't like it though. How you doing, Uno? Biofly. Have you found my mom's old Malibu? Hey, how would I know it's your mom's old Malibu? This is the perfect look for me. Okay, it is a stick shift, but it looks like it was moved from the steering column because I can see it. But I like the floor shift, stick shift. But I like what this looks like. Black, small hubcaps, steel wheels. It's the perfect look. Uno. Sweet Boo. Was it called a Malibu in Mexico? Yes. There was actually the bottom of the line was called Chevelle. Then you had the Malibu, then you had the Malibu Landau, which was the top of the line with the V8 and you could probably get air conditioning and stuff like that. But yeah, the bottom of the line was called Chevelle, which is interesting. J Bullet. I turned it into a pro street car. Yeah, it would probably do very well for that. You'd have to straighten the do whatever with the chassis. Why is that in there? That was a thumbnail. How'd that get in there? Somebody tell me. Don't you love these people that take pictures like this and expect you to buy the car? Those CHP Malibus had 350s in them. Yeah, but a smogged out 350, And it was the sheriff's department. I don't think CHP had Malibus. It was the sheriff's department. LA County Sheriff's Department. I don't think CHP had the Malibus. They started with the Mustangs in '82 though. '79? Yeah, they started with the Fox Body Mustangs. Firefly. Oh, she smashed the hell out of it. Just another casualty of many, which is how I became a mechanic. Mom was a car murderer. I can understand that. Be right back. I gotta go shovel a few inches. God, it's so warm here, Uno. Too bad you don't have our weather. I'm sweating a little bit here. So I asked this person for more pictures, like in the daylight. No, this is all I have, and sent me a video that maybe you could see more. But it is a manual. It is a factory stick shift wagon. So, and nothing's cooler than a stick shift wagon. Here's an Atlantic, a GLS Atlantic, which is the top of the line. But there's no market for these. People don't want them. I think they're nice looking cars. How do you guys still have snow when it's so warm here? I mean, really. For the last 3 days, a hen and her one chick have been coming into my backyard and I guess eating bugs and stuff. So then I would open the gate and let them out, and then the next day they'd be back. So I just decided, I went out there and told her, I'm not opening the gate anymore. Apparently, you're living here now. So I told Mrs. Spec, she's the chicken wrangler. She can go out there and do whatever she wants to with them. But last night I went out there because she had to find a place to roost. So she found a place in between some branches that I have laying out there ready to burn. And her and the little chick just sat there all night. So when I went out there this morning, 4 chickens in the backyard, a rooster and 3 hens plus the baby. I hope they don't keep coming in my yard. Mark. Speaking of shoveling, I had to shovel my way out of the snow after the snow came off my roof. What came off the roof came up to the bottom of my butt. Wow. That was a lot of snow. Like fell off your roof. Vilefly. List of murdered cars. Ford Fairmont, Chevy Vega, Torino station wagon, Plymouth Fury, Malibu, 2 Volvo station wagons, 1.5 Subarus. You sure she killed the Vega and the Vega didn't commit suicide? Because they really did. Oh, and 1 Fiat. Fiat. Another car that could have done itself in. Mexican Spec. Yep, snow and ice. Wow, it's so warm here. The Vega got smashed. Well, that's a fitting end to it. So nobody had to replace 10 engines in it. That's good. Chevrolet Cheyenne with the Hunter package on it and IROC wheels. Those wheels don't belong on there. I remember the sign at the junkyard. We'll pay whatever for any car except Rambler and Vega. Ramblers and Vegas. They didn't want them. They were overloaded with them already. Believe I've adopted a pet termite and I'm calling him Clint. For Clint eats wood. We have some of those in the house. I don't know what to do about it. Buddy, yes, IROC rims. Yeah, the big ones too. I don't know where he got them because we didn't have IROCs in the country. But the Hunter was the top of the line package you could get on these square body trucks that has the nice seat. It has the power windows if it was ordered like that, and the V8, of course, the 350 V8. One. Uno. I'll take it up in Canada. It never snows bullets here though. Don't tell me you don't have problems like that too. I mean, not like we have here, but still. Firefly. Ramblers were fun. Flatten those seats out and get busy. Those were Nash's actually. But the Ramblers, let's say in 1982, 1983, people were giving them away. So when the cars weren't popular, and I'm talking about this was a pick apart lot yard, nobody was buying the parts off of the cars after they buy them. So they didn't want to buy them anymore. They can't make their money back on cars that nobody will buy the parts off of. So they didn't want the Vegas and didn't want the Ramblers. I mean, if I would have known what I know now, there were so many parts that I could have gotten off those cars. I could have gotten um, instrument clusters. I could have gotten all the tail lights. I could have gotten, so many things off of those cars that were sitting in the yards. Imagine having a garage full of instrument clusters for late 50s into 60s cars, and then get to the eBay years where people bid against each other for something like that. Stuff was in good condition. The cars were like 20 years old at the time. So there was a lot of money to be made there, but it took a lot of insight that I didn't have. Granddad's junk. Mark must be getting near the snow finishing first day of autumn. Here must be first day of spring. And you, well, tomorrow we are a day ahead. Yep. Happy tomorrow, Granddad. Junk is junk. Firefly. The AMC Rambler we had would have the seats flattened out into a big flat mattress. Was sold, not killed. What AMC Rambler? AMC's didn't have that. The Nash Ramblers did have that, and those were from like 1950 for a couple of years. 1968. A 68 Rambler flattened out the seat? I don't think so. I don't think so because the safety requirements wouldn't have allowed that at the time. Seats had to be more stronger than that. 68 Rambler American, a Rambler Classic, Ambassador. There were a lot of models, but I don't remember any of the seats folding down. This had AMC printed all over it. Well, that's weird. Very weird. Okay, small gray cat can eat the food. Big gray cat cannot. I don't know. I was still a kid. Well, it must have been older than that. Mark, granddad's junk. Yeah, it was above freezing today, which is why the snow slid off the roof. Slid off the tin roof. It was above freezing here too, Mark. Quite a bit above freezing. I don't know what it's going to be like today. I think we're going to take the truck to the wedding, even though it's like 2 blocks from here. Because I don't know how cold it's going to be. Because I don't know how cold it's going to be trying to come back. And Mrs. Spec is going to be in very, very tall shoes. And I'm going to be in new shoes. So I'm not going to take the chance. Oh, tin roof. Tin roof. Okay. I thought maybe your house had a like a Tim Hortons roof on it. You never know. Anything is possible, Mark. But all of a sudden, these Caribes are getting popular. I just gotta finish the deal. And Jay Weiss, do you like the El Camino? The streets around here are fine, Jay. No problem. The highway, on the other hand, has a lot of potholes. So that Camino is harder to drive on. Bioflay. I'm still not sure when AMC came into being. Lester, new shoes, sometimes foot pain. Yeah, especially for me because my feet are wide. So, and Mrs. Speck bought them online. Here's a very interesting truck, guys. 1986 Dodge Carryall panel truck that he says it was always privately owned, never put into work. It's got a V8 under the hood. He doesn't know which one. He's going to look at the original invoice for me. And the thing is for sale. You will not see one like this. El Camino, the car model. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're okay if it has a V8 in it, depending on the year. 73 to 77 are not my favorite ones. Everybody likes the 68 to 72 models. So there's been a lot of those around. This is a pretty nice, well cared for truck, and it's very rare, especially with a V8, a factory V8 in it. It is a stick shift though, a V8 stick, as you can see from the. That's the only interior picture I have. He sent me a few others from the back. Sent me a few others from the back. It's just a cargo area. Josh Holman, 1954 is when AMC came into being. Josh, did they actually put AMC on the cars at that time? I don't think they did. I think they still use Nash and Rambler and all of the different names that were under the umbrella of AMC. When did they start actually marketing AMC cars themselves? 59 El Camino is my favorite. Gotta love the fins, buddy. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would take the 59 El Camino over a 59 Ranchero any day. You gotta love the lines on it, especially with all that trim on the side and everything. I wonder if this one's still available. This carryall. Most people don't like the fold down tailgate. They like the barn doors. But you can't really sit on the barn doors. I mean, you can sit inside, but the tailgate gives you some place to sit while you're waiting for the tow truck and have lunch. Firefly. I'm looking for when they started using the AMC logo. Yeah, that was my question. When did they start using? When did they get rid of the names, the Rambler in the U.S. anyway, the Rambler and Nash names and all of those names, and start just using AMC across the board? I'm also tired. I was up pretty late last night finishing some stuff up. and then my alarm goes off at 9 a.m. And then the cat looks at me, and I push snooze, and I go back to sleep, and it rings 10 minutes later, and he looks at me again. I go, no, like three more times. Because he's waiting for, even though there's food in his bowl, he's waiting for fresh food in his bowl. Because he's spoiled like that. The thing on these carryalls when they have the tailgate like that, there's a motor in the door to lower the rear window, so that's one more point of failure that people don't want to deal with. But on the barn doors, you have the big piece of metal between the two windows, so you don't get to see so much out the back. So there's give and takes on that. Of course, the Grand Wagoneer, everybody knows those. Even on its original wheels, still in gray. For some reason, they're gray. Firefly. The Rambler mark was discontinued for the larger 68 domestic models, leaving only the small Rambler American as the last product to bear the name in 1969. So in 1968, yeah, they were AMC Javelin, AMC AMX. Yeah, they started using the AMC name then. Will the Trill. Hey, Mexican Spec. Hey, Will. Thanks for joining us. Mrs. Spec is taking a nap because we have something later to do later tonight, and she didn't sleep much last night or this morning after work. Uno, does that Dodge have forward rear doors? I honestly don't know where they got them. The conversion company created those doors because they didn't exist. So I'm not sure where they came from. I don't even know what the conversion company was called that built that, because they didn't put like emblems on there or anything that has the company name that built them. Probably have to look at the original invoice. Firefly. We must have caught that weird moment in between. Yeah, maybe. Lester. I looked it up. Cars branded AMC started 1970 model year. Well, Lester, that can't be true because the 68 Javelin was called an AMC Javelin. It wasn't called a Rambler Javelin. At least where you are, it was here. But the 68 Javelins, they were the AMC Ambassador. When did the Ambassador start using the AMC name? That was before 68. So I don't know. Stephen Andrews, woo. Okay, back. Hola, Miss Mexicans back. Hi, all. Hey, Stephen Andrews. Thanks for coming back. How's your back? Did you cut enough wood? Firefly. I saw the emblems on the car myself. Wheel the Trill. I still find it interesting that Mexican AMC cars were only available with an inline six. Yep, they never made a V8 here, and they couldn't go to the US to get one because that was not allowed. They had to use what they had in country. Firefly. Wiki is not quite right. Nope, it's the people that submit the information. I mean, we all know cars. We all know that a 68 AMC AMX existed. So, we all know that. And the AMC name was used before that with the Ambassador. I think it was a Rambler. Was it a Rambler Marlin or was it an AMC Marlin in 1966? I don't know. Lester, I must never trust AI again. Sorry. No, AI doesn't know anything. They're just picking stuff up from the internet, and who knows who put it on the internet. Stephen Andrews, about a cord. Back okay. Good. Mine wouldn't be. Jay Weiss. AMC was in a Roger Moore James Bond movie. Yeah, they used quite a few of them. They used the Bug Eye Matador. They used so many others. The 258 was a motor. I remember it in it. Yep, that was the 4.2, and we have the 4.6 here, which is a 282. It was only for Mexican cars. They didn't use it in the U.S. 56 Ramblers. Opel, no. This is an Australian car. This is an Australian car that showed up in my on my Facebook thing. You guys over there would know what it is, but they want $199,000 for this car, Australian dollars. Holden Commodore. The first AMC was the Marlin in '65. They did call it an AMC in '65, Uno. Holden. Yeah, but $199,000 they want for this car. Is it that rare? I don't know. Even Australian dollars, that's a lot of dollars. Hell, that's a lot of pesos. Oh, I just thought I'd throw this in. You guys can tell me what it is. Like a stretched Mustang. Wheel the Trill, because the Holden Commodore is very rare, only around 100 were made. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. For a four-door sedan, they like their four-door sedans over there. Why didn't somebody in Australia buy the four-door sedans that are here and sell them over there? Buy the two-doors that are here and sell them over there because they're rare. Two doors are rare. Yeah, Jay, I know. I've talked to Tabo about that, but not $200,000 rare. Expensive. It says 16,000 kilometers on it from new. So yeah, that's five. That's a six-digit odometer. So 17,000 kilometers on it from new. I mean, that's now the question is, where has it been all of its life, and why does it only have 17,000 kilometers on it? Is it because somebody was preserving it, or because it was in body shops all of its life and never got driven anywhere? Mm-hmm. Firefly. I wonder how popular my '94 Caprice wagon would be there. I don't know. I know there's huge regulations that we have to comply with in order to send a car there. There can be no asbestos on the car. None. Not in the brakes, not in insulation, nothing. There's a lot of stuff that we would have to take off the car in order to send it there. I've already been through all this. Willow Trail. Sounds like the Mexican AMC 4.6 inline six. Sounds like fun to put in three-row, two-barrel carburetor. I have one sitting outside my house. It's in an '83 AMC Spirit. The car's been here for years and years, and they put the bigger engine in the 4. It says right on the side of the car, 4.6 liter, and it is a U.S. car though. It has a 4.6 in it, but it has an automatic. Unfortunately, Firefly. Oh wait, needs to be right-hand drive. No, it doesn't. They can drive left-hand drive there. Jay Weiss. It's funny. You buy it but can't drive it. Collectible car. Yeah, but just like I bought a low mile Renault Encore, not non a Renault Alliance convertible. I thought I was getting a great deal because it had low miles on it, but no, it was in body shops most of its life. It had damage that had been repaired and other damage that had been repaired, and it just was not driven because it was in body shops. It was still a good car, but Uno, yeah, I'm right. Granddad. That's an SS. It will have a group Bathurst model. That's why it's so expensive. Well, people over there must know what it is. But if you bring that to the US, it's a four-door sedan, so they're not going to think it's worth that much. It doesn't matter what's under the hood or who made it or whatever. And this one, you guys know it as a Volkswagen Quantum. It's called a Corsair here. And of course, it has the same engine, the four-cylinder here that the Volkswagen Rabbits had. So parts are available. Those had the five-cylinder Audi engine in the US, which were not as dependable as the four-cylinder. So, Jay Weiss, we say miles. In Australia, they say kilometre. Haha. We also say kilometer here. Jay, all of our stuff is in kilometers. So we're simpatico with them. Believe in yourself. They only made 500 of those Holden VL Commodore SS Group A Plus Packs. That's a very limited car, but again, my question is always, where has it been? Was it at the dealer? There's a lot of super low mile, well, just like Dennis Collins says, short mile cars out there, but you need to know the history of the car. Was it sitting in a dealership from the time it was new, or did something happen to it when it had very few miles and it's been sitting around since then because nobody wanted to fix it? Or you need to know the history of the car. You can't just look at the odometer and say, hey, it's worth a lot of money because of this. No. Like I keep saying, the odometer is, the numbers on the dashboard are only numbers on the dashboard. That's all they are. They don't indicate anything. What was the VW Dasher in the US, Stephen Andrews? Not that white car. That was called a Quantum in the US. The VW Dasher was a much smaller car. What was the Dasher called? Wasn't that the Fox? Granddad. It's a collector car. You just don't hood around in it. Well, it wasn't a collector car when it was new. Most people didn't buy cars like that and just put them in a garage somewhere. You buy them to drive them. Yeah, it was the Quantum over there, Stephen Andrews, and it was called the Quantum because it had the 5-cylinder Audi engine in it, which was not the most dependable engine compared to the 4-cylinder engine that was in the Rabbit. But just like in the rest of the cars here, the car was made in the Mexican factory, and they already had the Rabbit engine, so they're not going to create another engine for that car. So they just threw the 4-cylinder in there, just like every other front-wheel drive or a front engine car that was sold here. So Jay Weiss, maybe a second car in the family, not used much. Maybe just Sunday driver. Also could be the owner passed away some time ago and only now family wanted to sell it. Yeah, that's looking on the bright side, but you have to look on the other side to see why it has no miles on it. You can't assume the best. You have to assume the worst, and you'll be safe that way. I think I've shown this one before, but it just happened to be in the folder. I didn't really look what was in the folder. The cars I sold had many miles was always first question. How many miles? Of course, buddy. People in the U.S. are conditioned to ask that question. How many miles are on it? Oh, it has low miles, good car. No, it's not true. It could have 30,000 miles, never had an oil change, the engine's no good. People don't understand that. I would rather have a 2-year-old car with 80,000 miles on it than a 2-year-old car with very few miles on it. The car's been on the highway all of its life, and they're doing the oil changes, they're maintaining the car, and the car's going to run for a lot longer than that. When the car has not proved it can run that long, that's when you have a problem. Jay Weiss, Dennis Collins and Richard Rawlings always find those cars barn finds. Yep. Short mile cars. But people are calling them. They've got a reputation, and people call them, hey, I've got this car in my garage. So Granddad's junk. Jay, it would be a Sunday driver show car. Yeah, now Granddad, but when it was new, nobody wanted to drive it when it was new either. Jay Weiss, Rego is cheaper if you only drive to shows and weekends. Car is old 80s model, so classic car now. But the cars were made to drive. Firefly. Just assume the lunch lady drove it to Lunch Lady Land. Lunch Lady Land. Lunch Lady Land. Oh, Lunch Lady Land. I don't want to go to Lunch Lady Land, Firefly. That would be scary. Granddad, the VL VK models is what Peter Brock raced. I think the VK is the Mobile 01, maybe Mobile 1 package. So were these cars made to commemorate that? Or did he drive cars that came out of the 500 that were actually produced? So that means there's even fewer around. Got to ask these questions. It still seems a lot of money for 200,000 Australian dollars for that car. Because I know the exchange rate isn't that bad, not compared to what it is here. Bilefly. Adam Sandler waits for you in Lunch Ladyland. I'm sure he does. Overbuilt Automotive is here. Hi, folks. Hello, Overbuilt. Thanks for coming. Does it seem like my energy is low? I'm as tired as Mrs. Spec is, but she gets to take a nap. Jay Weiss. I've seen the Brock Blue VK. That's the same price. Nice car. Eh, I'll play. I'm waiting for a client to buy one of these liquid cooled Volkswagen vans so I could drive it somewhere. Because the last one I drove was in the 80s, air cooled, couldn't keep up 50 miles an hour on the freeway. Chris, Lunch Lady Land, where hairnets, tater tots, and pudding in a could reign supreme. In a could? Lester, you sound tired. I am a little bit tired, Lester. And I asked what kind of food is going to be at the wedding because I have to be careful what I eat. And they said barbacoa, which is what we eat in Guadalajara, but they don't have any chili in it there. So I asked, does it have chili here? I need to know if I need to eat something before we go. You know, they said, oh, they don't know. It's a restaurant. Well, we need to find out. No, we can't find out. So I don't know what I'm walking into if I'm going to be able to eat anything there. So I think I'm going to eat before I go. But we'll see. Wildfly naps. Naps are good. Naps are divine until the dogs wake you up. I only have one dog, and he doesn't wake me up. He doesn't wake us up. He doesn't make noise. He knows better than that. Overbuilt Automotive. I need to send you all my extra microphone. You sound muffled, and I'm turning up the sound. Well, I have the microphone right here. Driveway. Pudding in a cloud. Oh, pudding in a cloud reigns supreme. What's pudding in a cloud? I get the pudding part. Why is it in a cloud? Overbuilt. Now it's starting to get clear. Yeah, I have the microphone right here by my chin. So, but I'm sitting back in a chair, and I really want to drive one of these liquid cooled Volkswagen vans and see what it feels like, see how much power it actually has. I wonder how much power can be gotten out of that engine with it being back there. Because the more you hype it up, the warmer it gets, and there's not exactly a huge amount of air flowing through there. Firefly, grab a bag of Doritos and dip, some granola bars on the side for emergency backup. I can't eat that. The Doritos we have here have chili. The other ones have gluten. Actually, the ones with chili have gluten too. The dip I can eat, but it will give me a stomach ache. And I can't eat granola bars because those have gluten in them too. I'm gonna have a sandwich before I leave, and a bag of Fritos, and hopefully that'll tide me over. And if not, we'll leave early and we'll find food on the way home, even though it's only 2 blocks from here. There's people that sell food all over the place here. Tacos and hot dogs and all kinds of stuff. We had tacos last night. It was really good. I said the last time there was a lot of fat in the meat. Can you like do, when he gave me the first taco, there was no fat in it at all. It was really good. Really good. Chris, clear cup, whipped cream, then pudding, then more whipped cream, pudding in a cloud. Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know they sell anything fancy like or give away anything fancy like that at a school. Overbuilt Automotive. The best power mod for those vans is a Subaru swap. There's no need for a Subaru swap. You don't want to take a dependable engine out and put a Subaru engine in that's going to fail in a couple thousand miles. You don't want to do that. It already has the liquid cooled engine and out of the Volkswagen Golf, and the Volkswagen Golf engine, I'm sure there's speed parts out there that can boost the power. I'm sure there is. Volkswagens are, people mess with them all the time. I wouldn't put a Subaru engine in anything. No way. If anybody wants a Volkswagen, a Subaru Outback wagon, Kim has one that she wants to get rid of. She did the engine in it once, it failed again, and she gave up. So it's sitting there. It's a nice car. Other than that, so if you have an extra Subaru engine sitting around, she's got it. She's got the car for you. Steven Andrews. I've had a taco craving lately. Yeah, we had let's see, I had two tacos, corn tortillas, but actually each taco was actually two because he piles the meat but gives you two tortillas. So you take half the meat and you put it on the next tortilla, and so you have two tacos out of one. So I ordered two of those. So I actually had four tacos last night. Mrs. Spec had hers with all the stuff on the top, and we both had three bean tacos each. They're fried with beans in them, and the two drinks, and it was $15. Maybe it was about $16 for both of us. So that's not a bad price. It was very filling. Firefly. Weird fact: I discovered about the 1.6-liter VW air-cooled cylinder size. A Progresso soup can empty fits so well in it. It takes 3 seconds to fall into the bottom. It Sterling engine experiment. Buddy Carfano. Eurosport. Yeah, that was when the celebrity, then the Eurosport package was put on the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra here, which looks pretty nice. 2-door and 4-door. Lester LeSabre. 50 Kim points, but you have to pick it up. That's right. So basically, she's giving it away just to get it out of there. I bought one of those new, and it was a very, very nice car, but I would never buy a used one. Never. If it's under warranty, let them fix everything. Chris says, or put a VW engine in the Subaru, then you have a dependable engine in it. Exactly. But nobody thinks like that. I don't know why everybody, I mean, even Uncle Tony said that he would love to have a Subaru WRX. Like, are you crazy? Are you absolutely crazy? Those engines don't stand up to anything. Those flat engines. No way. I don't want a car that I have to keep putting an engine in over and over and over again. I know I'm not too happy with Volkswagen engines either, but because they're German, but Subarus, no. No, 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 no. I mean, out of all the Japanese cars Tony could have picked, he picked a Subaru. Weird. Overbuilt automotive. LOL. I feel you on 85% of Subaru engines. Yes, a regrind cram and a small turbo, or just a turbo run Rusefi, and that is the proper purest fix. 8 psi pump gas, very safe. Yeah, but it blows head gaskets like crazy. There's nothing you can do about that. Wildfly. WRXs are pretty quick, but the price is hefty. And replacing the engines are, and fixing the head gaskets and everything. It's not a good design. Overbuilt. The 3.0 H6 is not too bad. That's the only one I like. When you say not too bad, that means it's still bad, but not as bad. Biofly. Not a fan of the Subarus. Hate working on their heads. Exactly. But this is what people buy. Now, you might think this is a Nissan Sentra hatchback, but no. This is called Nissan Hikari. Hikari. These cars have been through hell in this country. They just keep driving them and driving them and driving them. Looks like just about everything on this was like the side marker light there, not fitting right. Tail light, not fitting right. Smoke turn signal lenses for some reason. But like Tony was saying with these old Sentras, they were such good cars. They just keep running and running and running and running. And there's still a lot of them available here. Overbuilt. The VW engine is the turbo engine. I always use head studs. Biofly. The flat six is not as crap as the flat 4 Subaru. They still have head problems though. Yeah, the flat 6 creates more heat too under that same hood. Driveway of Misfits, Chris. That Nissan has some sweet 80s lines to it. Yeah, the rear end is stuck up. I'm going to be publishing a turbo model of this pretty soon, but it needs some work, and we would have to do the work before delivery, like redo the front suspension on it, and some other stuff. But it's all easy to do here, and inexpensive. I'm assuming the parts are easy to get because there's still so many of them on the road. But yeah, and the only reason I would publish one of these T-Birds, well, you'll see when it gets to the interior part why I published this, which is this car was never offered in the U.S. Never. This, well, equipped like this, it was never offered in the U.S. because it would be a neat car to drive around as it is. They're cheap, and it would be a neat car to drive around, even if it does have the 3.8 V6 under the hood. It's lasted this long, it'll last a little longer. These are great highway cars, I remember that. Overbuilt. Head studs with a cosmic MLS head gasket and stainless valve upgrade. And I'll need to make that package last. Yeah, but which means you have to take the engine out and do all of that. I just want a car I can buy, turn the key, and drive it, and keep driving it without having to get under the hood so much. So many pictures of the outside. I remember when these were new, they were all over the new car lots. So many of them. And rental agencies too had them. Come on, get to the interior parts, the interior pics. We've already seen the outside. Overbuilt. I missed my 86 Nissan 200SX 1.8 turbo. A drunk hit me in 1997, killed the car. Wow, that's terrible. You didn't get hurt, did you? Yes, Stephen Andrews, manual, 5-speed manual from the factory in this Thunderbird. Base model Thunderbird stick shift. It needs work inside and stuff, but it'd be a cool car to drive around. Firefly. The one Ford I had was a Thunderbird like this. Got T-boned by some Haitian with no insurance. Bye-bye, Thunderbird. Yeah, 5-speed stick shift right there. They only offered the 5-speed in the Super Coupe in the US, never in a base model. Yeah, I got an interior guy that can handle that. Put a cap on the back. But yeah, these are pretty cool cars. I don't think the Cougar ever came with a manual here, though. I've seen one guy do a manual swap in an aqua colored Cougar, but it never came from the factory here. They were all automatics because they were the upscale cars from the Thunderbird. But these are cheap to buy here and pretty good driving cars and fun to drive with the manual. I don't like the 3.8 though, unfortunately. I've never driven a Super Coupe. I would really love to do that. This is a pretty clean truck. Different design on the back. It's not completely flat, so I don't know what conversion company did this, but they put a little design into the rear end of it. Overbuild Automotive. Valfly. I didn't quite make it through the one month ownership test. Overbuilt. Yes, but it's slow. But if it's slow, 70s, 80s stuff, you have to tweak old stuff just the way it is. Sucks, but depend on how much you like tooling around. I don't want to adjust anything. If it's a slow car from the factory, I'll drive it slow. I'm leaving it just like it is because that's the way it was designed to be. Firefly. Everything tries to kill you in that first month of ownership. I had a 68 T-Bird that did that to me. I sold it before somebody actually hit me, but the guy I sold it to, every body panel was damaged on that car the next time I saw it. Let's say Lester needs parking brake adjusted. Could be. Driveway to Biofly. No joke. Last month, my car of only 13 days got totaled. So you got to count the 30 days and then you could take it out. Overbuilt. Best to mod when it gets long in the tooth and need fixed anyway. It's a good time to refresh them. Yeah, if you're making the engine stronger, there's no need to make it faster. That's going to shorten the life of the engine. Biofly. Yep, it's a law of nature I discovered. Yeah, there's some nice carryalls out there, but people aren't really liking these bull noses or the what's the other one called, brick nose. I think this is a brick nose, a newer one, which are very hard to find because they didn't make. By the time this one came out, they were selling Suburbans in Mexico, so there was no reason to spend twice the money on this as the Suburban because you had to pay for the Ford truck chassis, and then it goes to the conversion company and takes 3 months for them to build this thing, and then it doubles the price of the original part of the truck. So you could just go to Chevy, buy a Suburban, and drive it off the lot. So they sold very few of these. Overbuilt. Yes, I am opposite of that. I love tasteful improvements, but nothing nutty. There was in Guadalajara over here, there was an 85 Nissan 200SX that had a Mustang 5.0 5-speed conversion under the hood. And with the hood down, you couldn't tell. They didn't cut the hood. They didn't do anything. It was a really nice. It looked like it was from the factory, but unfortunately, I can't sell a car like that. It's not allowed to be imported into the U.S. From the EPA laws. Engine changes like that aren't allowed. However, since it is a U.S. car, being that those weren't sold here, it could be crossed without importing it and do a lien sale or something on it to get a title in whatever state you're in, and then just get a title that way instead of going through the whole legalization and everything from it being in Mexico for so long. But it was a really nice install. Somebody did a really good job on that. You couldn't tell from the outside until you started it up and you heard the whole low growl. Overbuilt. Yeah, people that say just boost and blow them up are idiots. They do not know how to be a builder. Nope, definitely not. Buddy, buy it, tell everyone it's an expedition. No, why would you want to insult the truck like that? People say, "Oh, that's what was that company that was turning Broncos into 4 doors?" The name just skipped my mind. That company started in 1987. So every time I post one of those, oh, Centurion. Oh, that's a Centurion. Really? This is a Centurion. A 1982 Ford is a Centurion, which is 5 years before they even went into business. Tell me how that happened. Tell me how this time travel happened. Firefly. The short path to power leads to the dark side of the force. Overbuild automotive. Yeah, pull out. No, that's what made it a cool car. That was the best sounding Nissan you could ever find with the low growl of the 302 5.0. But I don't know how he registered it over there in Guadalajara because you have to smog cars over there. And an engine swap like that is not legal over there either. So I'm not sure how he got license plates for it. Well, he probably paid somebody off actually. That's usually how they do it. But yeah, that's how it is in a lot of places. In the big cities here, you have to smog the cars because they're trying to keep the pollution down. We don't do that here at all. Not at all. None of that. You just take the paperwork to the place, pay a whole bunch of money, and get new license plates for it. They don't even do a VIN inspection here. I brought a I bought a Toyota truck. I think it was an 85 Toyota truck in Sonora in Hermosillo, and I drove it down here. And the only thing they wanted was a pencil overlay of the VIN. So the under the hood, there's it has the VIN on the tag. That's kind of like embossed. So he did the pencil thing, and that's what he showed it as the proof of a VIN inspection. Nobody comes out to look at the VINs or anything like that here. I love Ford engines, but not that thin-walled flexing of the 302 block. No smog here in Tennessee. Oh, you're in Tennessee too. Everybody's in Tennessee. Thunderbird, working on assembling my 429 right now. Finally got my head gaskets after a huge annoying delay. Why don't they just have them on the shelf? I don't understand that. Just like they used to. Well, I'm glad you're putting the engine together. Did you get everything fixed that blew up on it, Thunderbird? Vilefly. Okay, time for a late lunch. Have fun, kids. Thanks for being here, Vilefly. Appreciate it, Chris. Later, Vilefly. Overbuilt. I used a 361, 351 Windsor if I have to fix a small block. Well, the Mexican 302 is a very strong block overbuild. It's not the American one. It's not the U.S. one. It's the Mexican one. And supposedly it has more nickel in the block, and and drag racers get a lot more power out of them. So we're not talking about the one that you know in the U.S. If Dean Stevenson was here, he could tell you about the block because he knows about them. They're much stronger, people say. There's no way to really prove it unless you take it and you build it and try to blow it up. But that's what they say. Drag racers look for the Mexican blocks. It may look like I publish a lot of Volkswagens, but I really don't. Yeah, I fixed everything. Was a damaged piston. Oh, well, lucky it didn't damage the cylinder wall as well. Did you get stronger pistons this time? Well, that's good. The one I used sucked. That's good. A plus plus plus. Let's see what does this Suburban have? Is it a manual? They started selling these square body Suburbans in 1987 in Mexico, so that's why people were buying carryalls before that because there was no vehicle like this for sale here. And every one of them in 87 came with a stick shift. In 88, they finally brought out the automatic, which doesn't make any sense to me because the Chevy trucks, the Cheyennes, could be had with an automatic. So they had the parts in the factory. They just didn't. They didn't put them in here in the 87 models. So kind of weird. Overbuilt. One can tell on the main bearing area. It's thicker on the good blocks. Well, there's a protrusion at the front of the Mexican block that tells you it's a Mexican block. And one of my customers showed me that. He said, this is how you can tell it's a Mexican block. Okay, and then, they say it has more nickel in the metal because it was made in Mexico. It wasn't made in the US, and they say it's stronger. But you'll have to talk to drag racers that use them because I don't really know the details on it. That's just what they say. Plus, they didn't have any smog equipment here in Mexico, so the engines were not. They didn't lower the compression in them. They didn't, smog out the engine, so it's straining all of its life to get any power out of it. It's like a 1968 302 engine that you're taking out of a 1984 Mustang. So yeah, it's a strong engine, the one here. When I worked at the Chevy dealer, the only cars that didn't like me were Suburbans. I damaged two of them in my 2 years of working there. They're the only vehicles I ever damaged. So, no, this one's an automatic. So I tend to stay away from Suburbans. They haven't liked me for 40 years now. Started working at the Chevy dealer in January of 87. So, yeah, 39 years. 39 years so far. So I'll just stay away from them. If somebody buys one, I'll go get it, but I'm not going to have one for myself or anything like that. The Ram Charger, on the other hand, seemed to be okay. Although, Mrs. Spec and I just drove that Ram Charger. It was 1,100 miles down to Veracruz from here, and I was not. I didn't like it as much as driving my Durango. The Durango's a bit smaller. Mrs. Spec is a bit closer to me because the center console is not as wide, and I just like it better. I just like the Durango better than the Ram, but it's still a nice driving truck. Very nice driving truck. Overbuilt. Yes, USA 302 will bind up crankshaft after machine work or crack the board. Just risky to invest, in my opinion, unless it's a Mexican block, of course. Yeah, but you have to buy a Mexican card to get the Mexican block. And of course, this is the Thunderbird SC that I published. All of them that I have ever seen in Mexico have cloth interior. I've never seen one of these with leather interior in Mexico. Maybe for obvious reasons because of the heat here, but I like the cloth interior. Stephen Andrews, nephew's free bird, free Firebird, way nicer than I expected. Is it all rusty? Or is it missing an engine? Or was it a family member's car? And there's an SC with a 5-speed. So that should be pretty fun to drive, but I've never driven one. Buddy Carfano. What years were the square body? In Mexico, they were made, the regular cab short bed was made up to 1991, as was the Suburban. And in 1992, they brought out the OBS style here in both the regular cab short bed and the Suburban models. So we had square bodies up until 91. The US also did, but only in the heavy duty models. They were all square bodies until they came out in 1992 with the Suburbans and all of the big, the big heavy duty stuff. They finally went to the OBS body, retired the square body completely. But in Mexico, we had regular cab short beds up till 1991. So Stephen Andrews, 1970 base, needs engine, Formula hood, not much rust. Oh, so you can make it kind of look like Ponch's car? Formula hood? Good. What engine is he going to put in it? Or what engine was in it from the factory? That would be better to know. I've heard these Thunderbird SCs blow head gaskets, but the car's 35 years old now. So if it doesn't have a blown head gasket now, is it a risk? I don't know. And these Cavalier Z24s, they're good driving cars, but people really don't want them. The people that like them only because they're cheap cars. That's the only reason. You get a lot for the money. So people aren't going to pay for one, even though it's a special car here, for me to sell it to them and transport it to them and all that. Because this one isn't, but the 93 and 94 Z24 had the Pontiac Sunbird exterior with the Cavalier interior, so you had the best of both worlds. You had the Pontiac Sunbird GT exterior with the covered headlights and everything, and then you had the interior of the Cavalier, which had a nicer dash, and then you had the 3.1 V6 under the hood and the 5-speed manual transmission, and it's just it had all of the best parts that you could get on the car in Mexico. So I'd love to have one for myself in carmine red, and I may one day. Blown head gaskets are just maintenance. Yeah, but if it doesn't have it now at 35 years old or 36 years old now, it was probably fixed at some point. This is a special model Beetle that was made. I think it's a 1 million. It's a 1 million model. I think that they made some commemorative models for when they got to 1 million in the Puebla 21 million. Yeah, when they got to 21 million cars worldwide, they made these cars. And it's really nothing special. It just has these stickers on it and stuff and interior. But it's a special model that was made only for Mexico. Most of the special models were only made for Mexico. Well, okay, well, they weren't selling the cars anywhere else. So, and that is not true on the license plate. The car does not suck at all. I would have turned that license plate in and tell them, hey, my car does not suck. How dare you? Nice color, though, because they put special colors on the special models and stuff that they didn't use on anything else. the Fire Beetle and this one and another one that they used, which was pinkish, kind of metallic pinkish. Stephen Andrews. I like them Z24. Should have been called Z26. No, the Z26 was the Beretta, Stephen Andrews. It was called the Z26 on the Beretta. You had your Z24 Cavalier, Z26 Beretta, Z28 Camaro. Even though the Z24 and the Cavalier had a 6-cylinder. And of course, so did the Z26 on the Beretta model. I had a Z26 Beretta here in Mexico. Very nice car. Mrs. Spec and I drove it 2 hours down the highway to Culiacan one time. We were just driving it around town, and we pulled into a new car store, and all of the gauges on the dash started freaking out, jumping and moving and everything else. And Mrs. Spec is like, the car is scared. You're going to trade it in. We better go. We better leave. So yeah, that's apparently what it was. The car was scared. As soon as we left the dealership, everything went back to normal. If you're still here, Chris, what kind of interior do you have in your Beetle? Just the standard cloth or what? What have you done to it? So many different things. These are not Volkswagen seats, obviously. They're from some other kind of vehicle because Volkswagens didn't have the adjustments and the recline and everything else. But they work. If they're at the right height, they're more comfortable than the Beetle seats. Oh, and they trimmed them blue in the back. Nice. With cup holders. It's like a limousine, a Beetle limousine. It's funny what people do in Beetles, what they spend their money on. Nobody's ever going to look under the frunk, but they spent their money on the stuff. Totally stock. Yeah, but what did it have? I don't know what stock was over there, Chris. Yours isn't a Super Beetle, right? It's just a standard Beetle. It is snazzy upholstery, yeah. Yeah, this car is 4 hours away from me, and it has air conditioning in it. And the guy says it blows cold. I said, okay, can you give me a picture? Can you show me a picture of the engine with the air compressor on it? He says, no, that rack is on the back and I can't open the hood. Well, how do you check your oil? How do you check anything if you have to unbolt something to open your hood? He never sent me a picture of the engine. But I did have a client on this because he wanted a Beetle with air conditioning. Well, here it is, right here. And it's not that far from me. Standard Beetle European model, has black vinyl textured vinyl seats and carpeting. Still has metal dash. It doesn't have the pad? No pad on that one? Buddy, any convertible Beetles in Mexico? No. Convertibles were not made. People with hacksaws turn their cars into convertibles, and then they put a fabric top on it that looks crazy, but no, they never sold any convertibles here. Stephen Andrews, they never sold the Super Beetle in Mexico? No. The Super Beetle was only created and sold in the US because they said the standard Beetle was not safe. So they had to change the suspension and made it wider and made it whatever. And that only lasted until 79 anyway. So no, we never had Super Beetles. The Beetle you see that in 2003 is the same Beetle from 75, from 74, from 1968. Exactly the same car. No pad. European cars didn't start using the dash pads until 69. What year's your car then? I thought it was a 72. Because they sell these dashes here. No problem. I can't imagine how much power the air conditioner steals from this 1.6 liter engine on this Beetle when you're trying to use it. Dean Stevenson, I've been away researching a 4-barrel EGR intake swap to an ELB electronic spark timing 77 to 89 5.2 liter M body. I blame Adam Wade from Rare Classic Cars and Automotive History. 11/23/24 video. Why are you researching something from more than a year ago? Here's the Z24 I was talking about with the Pontiac Sunbird GT body on it. Excuse you. This car has the best of all worlds. Chevy interior, big V6 under the hood, 5-speed manual, fun car to drive, and covered headlights. Can't beat that. You can't see them come up like you could on my Sunbird, but still, you take what you can get. It's because the old wine is better. So who are you doing the research for? I'm not yawning, you're yawning. They are not overbuilt. They're good cars. Solid cars. Good price too. Not when you add in the travel and transport to get it to the US, but you can buy a really nice car for a good price here and it'll last you the rest of your life. Hey. I don't either, Josh. We have to take their word for it. That front end looks good to me. Stand back and it just looks like little slits. Little headlight covers come up and yeah, you get your full headlights and then they go back down. Actually, November 24th, 23. Oh, so more longer ago. I research everything. I might do an ELB conversion to a Mexican spec Fox Mustang. Go for it. Not what I meant. Oh, well, I don't know what pink crap means. Could mean anything overbuilt. And of course, you guys know what these are. What this one is. Electronic lean burn on a Mustang? You can't do that. That's against nature. Dodge Spirit RT. Yes, and it says intercooled on the side. So it's got an intercooler. But these cars with automatics scare me because I don't have a transmission shop that's worth a crap here. Nobody can rebuild a transmission to make it work here. So that's definitely a problem. If it has a manual, then I would consider it. Comment mine. I was tagging it. Okay, so this does have a manual, so okay. Electronic spark timing control, Lester. One of Mopar's better ideas. Oh, you're living in upside down world still, Dean. Okay, I get it. Okay, I understand. There should not be any control of anything, just like the car gods designed it to be. Manual, okay. Stick shift, yes. I don't know if there'd be a market for these in the US either. Another Beetle. Well, guys, I'm going to have to cut this short, even though there's more pictures to show, because we have less than 2 hours to get ready and get to the wedding, because supposedly the ceremony starts at 6 o'clock. So I was misled on what time. So I'm going to cut this short. I appreciate everybody being here. And tomorrow night, hopefully, we'll be on if we're rested enough. Look for the thumbnail that I post. And we will see you then. Goodbye, everybody. Wish me luck. I'll be able to eat something tonight.